Welcome to the Baller Boys podcast. They're all about sports, and more sports. And now, the Baller Boys, Mark and Shemaya.
Hello, and welcome back to the Baller Boys podcast. It's your boy, Mark, and I am joined by the SOTB, the music man with the plan, Shemaya.
Man, we doing overtime. We giving y'all some good stuff tonight, man.
Oh, yeah, a nice juicy topic to say the least. But before we get to that, we are joined by a very special guest. The Baller Boys podcast is getting ravishing tonight because we are joined by Rudy Campos Jr.
What's going on? It's ravishing. Rudy Campos back. The Ayatollah of sports and rock and roller, everything you can imagine. That's what I am. That's what I've been called in radio. So I'm just glad to be back with you guys, man. Little reunion here.
Yeah, it is, man. It's exciting. But thank you for hopping onto the Baller Boys podcast. We are here to entertain y'all out there in sports land. Thank you for giving us your ear. We're going to have another just grand time here. Chris Paul and problematic fans, kind of a hot topic right now. And we're just going to kind of pass it around and get our take on this. So, guys, why don't we just go ahead and hop on into this? So apparently Dallas Mavericks fans were harassing / pestering Chris Paul's family during Game 4 against the Phoenix Suns. And Chris Paul took to Twitter to voice his displeasure at how the NBA handles fan interference at games. To put it nicely, he said, "You want to fine players for saying stuff to the fans, but the fans can put their hands on our families." So y'all want to, I guess, kind of break it down what happened here? Or
Well, basically from what I really didn't comment much on it because I'm the type of guy that likes to get all the story out first and see what happened before I can make a comment. And sure enough, we see that, it was the fan that we saw getting ejected really had nothing to do with anything other than apparently allowing a couple of fans that he met earlier come down to their seats and sit with him. Well, one of them, which rumor has it, or it's being purported somewhere, that he was only 18 and he was drinking. So that was
oh dear.
Like, I think that's what I had read or heard somewhere on Twitter or somewhere saying that. But if that's the case, that's terrible already. But either way, it was a inebriated person, a drunk person, basically was just, you could tell on a video he was touching Chris Paul's mom, saying, "Hey, happy Mother's Day." That's basically what he was doing. Oh boy. Well, again, it's kind of like, well, okay, I get you don't want to put your hand on anybody. And I get, you want to keep your hands to yourself. But my thing was Chris Paul, his reaction was correct. A lot of people said it was overreacting, but it was correct in my opinion, because if it's me, nobody's going to put their hands on my wife or my family. If it's jokingly, yeah. But if it's serious stuff, it's definitely not going to happen. And I think what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know if this was a serious issue as they made it out to be, like the media did, or if it was a joking type of thing, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah. Just based on what you're saying about just the fans, just being inebriated, it's like, and, of course, like you said, you don't want anyone like touching your family, especially someone who is inebriated and clearly out of it. That could lead to issues, other issues as well. But I could see how Chris Paul's family was uncomfortable with that because, honestly, unless y'all are friends and you're close and you get it, you wouldn't want to be in that situation with someone, like touching you in the way that they are at that moment.
Yeah. I'll jump in here and I'll say, make sure y'all can hear me. But the main thing with me is I feel like nobody should be doing anything to any player's family. because they are already popular. Okay, everybody always have 10 million questions that they want to ask them, and just let them live. Like, let them have their space. Like, just leave them alone. And for crying out loud, it was Mother's Day. Like, just leave them alone. Like, seriously, the last thing that they want to do when they go to the game is have one, random person tap them on the shoulder or whatever else happened during the game. Just let them, like, be at peace at the game. Like, if you really want to say something, just say, hey, your son's a great basketball player. Have a great day. Something like that. Like, just keep it simple. All this, like, over the top, trying to get someone's attention, let alone breaking the code and tapping them on the shoulder or just engaging with them physically, it's unnecessary. And had that fan or fans, make better choices, none of this would be on the news. None of this would be a thing. So that's my thing. Like, just go to the game and have fun, but don't bother people and get their personal space, because that's what causes conflict and cause unnecessary stories and tweets to be put out in the world.
But was it an overreaction, Shamar? That's my biggest question.
No. Heck no. If it was Mother's Day and I find out some idiot in the stands is messing with my people, I'm going to react the same way. Now, fortunately, Chris Paul didn't want to do the Will Smith thing, which I praise his decision to not wanting to, climb the chairs and, do like a,
Alice at the Palace
type vibe. Because then it'll be like, it's the fans, win-win. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point, It'll make Phoenix Suns look terrible and it'll be a big distraction in the locker room because they be saying Chris Paul's a monster because he jacked up, young fan or whatever. So, but no, answer the question, no, definitely not overreaction. And definitely he was close to almost making a mistake, but he was held back by, other coaching staff and players to just like, hey, don't even sweat it. Like, it ain't that deep because it ain't worth, because what it is. People are waiting for these players to act up a certain way so they can have their lunch. So definitely not overreaction. And I think he was smart enough to not go too far in trying to go after the person.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's such a tough situation. I think what a lot of people are calling overreaction is because the kid in question, I mean, he was a kid. I mean, that's kind of what, I see a lot of people are like, well, I mean, you're pissed off at a kid. Why are you yelling at a kid? And even the kid himself, he looked like he didn't know what the hell was going on. And that's why I asked about the overreaction part. Was I get you want to defend your family, but without, knowing the actual truth, I mean, this could have, say Chris Paul went after him and you have a Malice in the Palace type thing. And we all saw at the Malice in the Palace that Ron Artest went after the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And that's where I was wondering, was because if Chris Paul ends up going into the stands and fighting that kid, and you come to find out, because the video that they released showed that it wasn't him, that it was a kid, it was somebody in a white jersey. This kid was wearing a green Luka Doncic jersey. So if he's getting beat down and this is a kid, I mean, like, so assuming he's a kid, say he's under 18, that's a horrible look for the president of the Players Association, big time.
Yeah, charges too.
Massive charges if it's wrong. So that's where I felt the overreaction might have been.
And that's why I respect that. That's a good point. But that's why I say it's not an overreaction, because he was smart enough to not go over the chairs and lay hands on the person that just PUO. You know what I'm saying? Your mother on Mother's Day and your wife. So he held his ground by not overreacting, by going over the chairs and letting the person know how he really felt. Because think about it. If it's your mom in the stands, the one that been there for you your whole life, it's going to take a lot of guts to hold yourself back. It's, in my opinion, I'll be like, I'll ask questions after I find out. Because it's like, if my mom and my wife is being messed with, yeah, I'm going to ask questions later. But like I said, that's why I say it was an overreaction, because he chose not to completely go over the chairs. Because we all saw him getting close. He was thinking about doing it, but he didn't. And that's what saved him from overreacting. I mean, come on. I get what people are saying is a kid, but at the same time, though, you got to understand, if you see someone you care about, right? Mm-hmm. And you think that they're in trouble, you don't care about what anybody else thinks about you acting. Like, you know, you don't be like, oh, hey, how you doing, buddy? Can I sign your jersey? You know, it's different if it's like a random person, but if it's your mom on Mother's Day, nah, that was an overreaction. It only would be an overreaction if he actually got physical.
Yeah, and that was my biggest fear, was that him going in the stands causing another Malice in the Palace would have been, that would have been wrong on so many levels,
just
man.
Total disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I wonder. So you talked about going over. I agree. I think he had good restraint on his behalf. He didn't get into the stands, which is good. Do you think his comment, "I'll see you later," was over the top?
I would say yes. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't say the same thing, but then again, I'm not, making $20 million a year and I'm not an NBA player. Mm-hmm. I understand that as an athlete, because, I played high school athletics, and I understand you've got people in the stands that talk some smack, especially students, when you're talking students on students. So yeah, I understand. And it doesn't give a fan the right to say anything. It doesn't give them the right to push a player or touch a player or anybody. It doesn't give them a right to go to a game and touch somebody else that they don't know, put their hands on them. So I get that. But to say, I'll see you later, that's more of an in the moment type thing for Chris Paul. I know he was really heated. I think if he was to take it the next day and look at it, I think he would probably be okay. I totally probably overreacted a little bit, but not in the heat of the moment. No, I get that. You want your hands on that person, but I guess I'm weird because I can be a cooler head in most cases. So before I blow my top off, I want to know what's going on. And it's so hard. I mean, Shamar probably feels differently about it. He probably feels that it might be the right thing to say, which I don't disagree. In that moment, definitely what he said was warranted.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that point, but I'm going to have to go against the grain and say, on Mother's Day, I see my mama in the stands, and I know somebody, some baby, teenage or whatever, kid, whatever, grown man, gorilla, puppy, squirrel, rat. I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you're from Detroit, if you're from the South Pole. I don't care. You're Santa Claus himself. I'm going to let you know I'm going to see you later. Because the reason why I say that is because he didn't say anything about beating him. He didn't say anything about hurting him. He could have meant, I'm going to see you on Twitter. I'm going to tweet at you all day and all night to make you never forget. So that I'll see you later is very vague. It's very generic. There's no threats in there. There's no, I'm going to beat you. There's no, I'm going to slap you. I'm going to Will Smith you. Right. There's no, I'm going to hug you and tap you on the shoulder and see how you feel. It was just a generic statement saying, I'll see you later. He could have meant, I'll see you in court. He could have meant, I'll see you in the security office. So, but no, I agree to Rudy's point that you got to be very careful with those words as a professional athlete. So I definitely agree with that point. But I had to go against the grain a little bit and say, nah, because if it was my mama, oh no, y'all have to tie me up for me not getting no stands.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, I can understand that for sure. And again, it's just like heat of the moment, just high on emotions. He didn't go into the stands, so we can understand in him like letting that out. And even if he did mean something like a little bit more threatening, again, he probably would look back on that comment the next day when he's calmed down and say, "Okay, I probably shouldn't have said that," which he's probably said that to himself anyway the next day, where he's like, "Okay, cooler heads prevail. Situation's taken care of, whatever." But honestly, I just think the kid shouldn't even have tried anything. Shouldn't even have, let the other guy go in and create this potential situation in the first place. It just feels very invasive towards Chris Paul's family. They're just there to watch, him play, support him, root for him. They didn't ask for random fans to go up to them, especially if they're, slightly inebriated, probably have really stinky breath. And I wouldn't want, some random stranger, right. tapping on me with like the worst breath in the world, let alone just a random dude like getting up in my face and just, trying to forcefully talk to me when I don't have any interest in talking back to you. And I could see that being unsettling and annoying. So yeah, I would be mad too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would definitely make anybody mad. There's no doubt about that. But
flip the script. I hate to cut you off, but flip the script. What if Chris Paul went to a random fan who's trying to enjoy the game, right? Trying to enjoy the game. And he taps them on the shoulder like, "Hey, happy Mother's Day. By the way, can I sign your jersey?" Like, wouldn't that be weird? Wouldn't that be awkward? Wouldn't that be annoying? Wouldn't that be, "Hey, shut up and dribble"? Not to say that that's what we're trying to say here, but I'm just saying, like,
to the point, yeah.
Wouldn't that be weird? So that's the same thing with this, quote unquote fan. You randomly hit someone up you don't know, and you're basically harassing them. You're bothering them, keeping them from enjoying their time at the game.
I agree with that, and I think what I look at is I look at the people getting ejected from the game and who Chris Paul was talking to, compared to the actual video evidence of which fan actually put his hands on Chris Paul's mom and tapped her on the shoulder. That's the part where I'm like, wait a minute. If this kid really had nothing to do with it, he didn't put his hands on anybody. Now, if he was cursing at Chris Paul's family, that's different. But then another thing came out saying that the same fan who was tapping Chris Paul's mom on the shoulder was using derogatory remarks towards Chris Paul, towards the Phoenix Suns, and they didn't appreciate that. Yeah. That is, and again, that I'm not a defendant of fans doing things in arenas or whatever. But you get that all the way down from the high school level. You're seeing, 9-year-old CYO basketball games where you have parents that are cursing at the refs and cursing at coaches and cussing in general. But at the NBA level, you're bothered by fans using derogatory remarks. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's kind of mind blowing to me, because if you can't take it, there are certain sections in the arena, and this is me. If I'm an NBA player, if I'm an NFL player, my wife and kids and family are more than likely not going to sit in the fan section. They're going to be in a suite somewhere. That is just my thing. They normally have suites for players, families and stuff, and you have multiple families in there, not just one. So I would really strongly suggest to my family, don't sit in the crowd, because you're going to hear stuff being said and it's probably going to bother you. You're going to have interaction with fans. It's like Fiesta. When you go to Nyosa, if you are so pissed off because somebody bumped into you, you shouldn't be at Nyosa. That's what I'm trying to get at when it comes to the fan and, interaction with family and stuff.
Especially if the family is like kind of high profile, like they're in the media, they're seen, like they're interviewed by news outlets. People are going to seek you out and try to get your attention. So even more reason, like you said, like the Currys, everyone knows them. Everyone's seen them on the TVs. The cameras at the games point them out. So I'm sure they've figured out a system to avoid random strangers. And, again, like you said, the suites, that's like the perfect time to put your family up in a suite just to protect them. And, again, like it's the nature of the beast too, with just, rudeness and things being yelled by fans, especially on the road. In this case, you're going to get that. But I think it would have been a wise idea for Paul to get them all up there in a suite.
Yeah, I agree with that. They should have been.
Those are all great points. All very great points. Because one can say, Chris Paul should use his head and has, people in sitting in chairs next to the team or in a suite somewhere. Chris Paul could say, though, well, if those people in the stands just mind their business, none of this would ever have to happen. I would never have to react. This would have never been a big fuss on social media, blah, 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 blah. It's good points on both sides because there could be an argument made for each one, especially for if there's an individual that was caught being accused having his hand in the cookie jar and he was just by the cookies, but he wasn't in the cookie jar. It's like telling a squirrel, don't cross this busy street, but he's like, my food is on the side of the street. Screw that. I need to get this food. I don't care if there's busy cars and busy traffic. Don't tell me don't cross the street. I know that's a weird metaphor, but just hang with me. I feel like that's that unfortunate fan, They had no business crossing the street with busy traffic because he had some troublemakers around him. But hey, he kind of got, caught in a tough situation. But like I said, both sides are good points because yes, I can definitely see the scenario. Hey, if you have, people that are related to you, just do them a favor, put them in suites or put them next to the team or something like that. But I can also see the players saying, well, shoot, you can't do that for everybody. Maybe you don't like your cousin.
Exactly. And and the thing that we all three can agree on is you don't put your hands on anybody, like family or whatever. Even if I go to the game and I'm sitting next to people and, being, hey, I'm a Spurs fan, but I have a Laker fan next to me.
Right.
I'm not going to go up and give him a hug and be like, hey, what's going on? Like, you just don't do that in general. So I think we all agree that, this wouldn't have been a problem if you would have just remembered what they taught us all in kindergarten and pre-K. Keep your hands to
yourselves.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Just and give people their privacy. Like the Paul family wasn't there to, talk to strangers or talk to people. They were there to support, Chris and, root him on. And other people have to keep that in mind, when they go to these games. If for some reason they recognize, a player's family, just leave them alone, y'all. Leave them alone. Don't try anything. Don't pester them. Don't say, hey, what's up? Because they're not there to talk to you. They're there to go and cheer for their loved one.
Now, I have a real story. And it's going to be really short because I know we have to wrap this up. But this is a true story, all right? I had the honor having something special happen when I went to a WNBA game with my sister, my mom, and my dad. And so we went to a WNBA, Detroit Shock. And this is the time Detroit Pistons, Miami Heat, you know what I'm saying? Chauncey Billups was sitting in the front row, all right? My family, we're sitting right behind him, okay? He has his family with him. And we literally are on the Jumbotron throughout the whole game. You know what I'm saying? We even made it on the website. For a long time, you can Google that game, see Chauncey Billups, but you also see us in the background. And what I'm trying to say is, we really, really wanted to say, hey, Chauncey, man, how you doing? You know, big fan of Pistons. We kept silent, man. There was one time he made eye contact in our area, you know what I'm saying? But we kept our cool. We didn't want to be like, hey, glad you with your family, you know, how you doing? Tap, tap. Hey, you know what I'm saying? In other words, fans have to be able to just stay calm in every situation. Like, don't get so excited. Because to that fan defense, maybe they was just excited. Maybe they was like, oh, shoot, this is Mother Day. And this is like once in a billion chance that I can be sitting by Chris Paul's mom. You know what I'm saying? So to that defense, maybe they were just good intentions, right, in their mind, but they just made poor judgment by actually, you know, being annoying. But there probably is more to that story. I'm just trying to put some angel wings on their behalf because maybe they actually had good intentions. They just made some poor decisions. But that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, it goes back to, like I said, it just seemed like he was pissed off at the wrong person. And I even saw people on Twitter like, oh, well, that's the look you get when you're busted and you shouldn't. I'm like, well, wait a minute. If I know I'm wrong, I'm like, you have a certain demeanor and you know you're wrong. But this kid looked like he had deer in the headlights. Like
they just lived for the one, the jersey.
Yeah, like he just, I mean, he was
it was him.
He was like in the wrong place at the wrong time type thing. Like, okay, so it is my fault. These are my friends. But if you, me, and Mark walk into 7-Eleven and you and Mark, you know, say, hey, we're gonna jack 2 big gulps and y'all take off. But I'm left there.
And you have the do-rag on.
I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't do anything. Well, no, you were a part of that group, so you're going to take the fall for it. That's kind of the way the kid had it. Like, I'm taking the fall for this guy, but that guy was nowhere in the picture. The other person that got ejected was, I think, the kid's mom, and then a little kid, an even younger kid, probably like 12 or 11, if not younger, got ejected too. So I'm trying to figure out where's the real person that started all this, because it seemed like the wrong people took the fall for it. But again, we don't know. Like, we don't have all the details out yet, so we really don't know.
Yeah, especially when this story broke. Like, the only footage you could find was the aftermath, and again, that's what led to the scapegoating and the people pointing the finger at the wrong person. Yeah,
the professional analysts on Twitter. Hey, if you freeze at this frame, this person looked at a certain way. So, yeah, that confirms my point. So, yeah, I have to say Rudy is making some really good points. I have to say, based on what Rudy's been saying throughout this whole episode, I can agree to the point that, you know, there are some loose ends still in this situation, because there can be so many good arguments made for the fact the wrong person. You know, that's a big mess up. I mean, part of me is like, if you're that person's parent, would you want to do something about that? Like, wouldn't they have a legal right to clear the person's name and maybe, you know, I don't know, kind of make a big deal? I don't know. That's probably another topic for another time. But yeah, I mean, just the good thing is that Chris Paul didn't climb over the chairs and have a malice at the palace, because that would probably be a huge distraction in the locker room if that were the case. And it would probably be a very unfortunate situation to happen on Mother's Day. So I commend Chris Paul for not jumping the chairs, because he could have ruined Mother's Day big time if he did that.
Oh, yeah. And suspension. I could see him being suspended for
Right.
probably the rest of the series and screw the Suns out of a title.
The sun just said it.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
The dying sun. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So just grateful things didn't get worse. But guys, I think we hit the nail on the head here with this Chris Paul situation.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy had some, like I said, really great points. Before, I was kind of biased to my own opinion, but yeah, that's what we do on the Baller Boys, man. We have different points of view, and that's what makes the show great.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you know me, man. Like when we were on radio, I always told y'all I look at the bigger picture of things and goes down the rabbit hole, because even though you see it one way, sometimes it actually is. It's different from a different angle, and then that other angle is like, oh, okay, now it makes more sense. And that's kind of what I felt with this one. You only got it one way, but when another video got released, it's like, wait a minute, that's not the kid that they ejected. So what the heck really happened? So, I mean, if it was flat out him, then yeah, hey, he's in the wrong. But no matter what, just keep your hands to yourself, period. No matter what it is, just do it everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Just keep your hands to yourself and leave people alone. Don't assume that they want to talk to you.
That was good, Mark. That was good, Mark. I just pictured Mark. Like, you remember when elementary school you had the street crossing guard, and they had that little, what you call that little thing you put over your shoulder? What was that thing called? It's like your uniform, but it's like this cheesy little like strap
the neon
thing.
jacket.
Yeah, well, no,
The safety belt.
the safety
Yeah,
belt. Remember that? Like, I remember. I don't know about y'all, but back in the day, we got picked by our peers to wear that. It was like a true honor. So I just visualized Mark being a true honor, giving us the Scout Boy. I said that wrong. Boy Scout, not Scout Boy.
Boy Scout, no.
Scalpel.
But-
I'm glad Chris Paul didn't have a scalpel.
Fun fact, I was actually a safety patrol in elementary, but I had to quit because they required us to be there at 6:30 in the morning. And as a kid, I wasn't about to get up that early anymore. So I went like one time. It was like, nah, this isn't for me. I need my extra hour of sleep. So
Everyone was running.
yeah.
Oh man, same here, man. I would have opted for the extra sleep. Shoot, I'd still opt for the extra sleep. All right, guys, we did it. That wraps up another episode of the Baller Boys podcast. Rudy, once again, thank you for hopping on and just taking your time to talk some sports, man.
No problem, man. I'm looking forward to joining you guys a couple more times, and looking forward to having you on the Sweep the League podcast once it starts kicking off here pretty soon.
Heck yeah, man. How can the folks reach out to you?
Best way to get a hold of me is on Twitter. Follow me at Sweep the League. I'm pretty active on there. You can look me up on Facebook, even on Instagram. Rudy Campos Jr. Just send me a friend request. I'll hook you up.
Cool. Once again, thank you, man. And you can reach out to us, the Baller Boys. You can follow me and Shemaiah. Shemaiah, let them know what the handle is.
Yeah, man, you can follow Shims at Shemaiah on the BT. That's my new nickname for life.
Oh, whoa.
Shims. It doesn't sound it doesn't sound weird. It just depends how you say it.
Yeah.
That actually has a kind of a kick to it, I think. I kind of like that. Like Shams, Shanaria, we have Shims.
It's like the kid in me, you know?
Isn't that the sequel to Kazam?
Yeah, that was the knockoff version. That never made the big screens. There's a guy named Shims, and he was just terrible.
Jesus. Well, there you go, guys. You could follow Shemaiah there. And then follow me, this guy, just Mark, at Mark the MC, MARKTH, 3 3s, no E's, capital M, capital C. Oh, I know I can breathe, right? But follow us all on Twitter. We always put up some fun stuff. And tune in every week for the Baller Boys podcast. We have multiple episodes out weekly. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, The Moon, Underwater, Mars. We're all over the place. And in case you don't like any of those, go check out YouTube. We're also on YouTube. But tune in next time when we talk about your favorite sports, and more sports. Tell your mom, tell your grandma. Peace out.